Welcome, friend. Before we begin, I want you to know what you are about to hear is a fictional bedtime narrative, gently inspired by themes and passages from the book of Proverbs in the Bible. This is not a word-for-word scripture reading. It is a softly woven retelling, designed simply to help you rest. Consider this a calm and safe space, where ancient wisdom becomes a lullaby for your mind and body. Now, settle in. Let your blankets find their place around you. Let the pillow cradle the back of your head, and let the world outside this moment grow quiet, distant, unimportant for now. Tonight I will walk with you through a land of gentle wisdom, a land where soft lanterns glow along cobblestone paths, where old trees hold centuries of patience in their rings, where every word spoken carries the weight of peace and the lightness of rest. I am here with you, a traveler, a witness, and together we will move slowly through these ancient truths, not to study them, but to let them wash over us, like warm water, like evening light, like the familiar comfort of a Sunday night long ago. There is nothing you need to do right now, nowhere you need to be, no problem that requires your attention in this moment. Just breathe. Let your shoulders soften. Let them fall away from your ears. Feel how your body grows a little heavier against the bed, and how that heaviness is not a burden, but a relief. Good. Now, let us begin. I find myself standing at the edge of a quiet village. The sun has just set. The sky holds that deep blue color that arrives between evening and night. The air is cool, and it carries the scent of bread baking somewhere nearby, of wood smoke, of lavender growing wild along the stone walls. This village has no name that I know, but it feels familiar, the kind of place you remember from a dream, or from childhood, or from a story someone told you once, long ago. I walk slowly through the open gate. The streets are made of smooth, worn stones. My footsteps are soft, unhurried. Lanterns hang from iron hooks outside each doorway, casting golden circles of light onto the path. Inside the windows, I see families gathered. I hear the low murmur of conversation, the occasional gentle laughter, and then I notice her. She stands at the crossroads near the center of the village, an older woman. Her hair is silver white, braided and resting over one shoulder. Her robe is simple but elegant, the color of deep wine. Her face holds kindness, patience, the kind of calm that only comes from many, many years of listening. This is wisdom, not a goddess, not a spirit, just wisdom, given form for this quiet night, a presence I can walk beside, a voice I can hear. She sees me approaching and she smiles. "You came," she says. Her voice is unhurried, warm, like tea with honey. "I did," I say. "I wanted to listen." She nods slowly and gestures for me to walk with her. "That is the first step," she tells me. "The wanting. So many rush past these streets without stopping. They have places to be, things to chase. But you are here, and that is enough for now." We begin to walk together through the village. The cobblestones are uneven beneath my feet, but in a pleasant way. Each step feels grounded, real, present. Let your breath slow, friend. Match it to our footsteps. In and out, easy, soft, no hurry at all. Wisdom speaks again, her voice blending with the evening air. "The beginning of all understanding," she says, "is simply this: reverence, a quiet awe for something greater than yourself. When you hold that awe gently in your heart, everything else begins to make sense." I think about that as we walk. Reverence, not fear that trembles, but wonder that settles. The kind you feel when you look up at a sky full of stars, or hold a sleeping child, or stand at the edge of an ocean at dusk. Wonder that doesn't demand answers, only presence. So many people chase knowledge, wisdom continues. They gather facts like coins. They stack achievements like bricks. But knowledge without reverence becomes noise. It fills the mind but never reaches the heart. We pass a small fountain in a stone courtyard. The water trickles gently, catching light from a nearby lantern. I pause to watch it. Rest a moment, wisdom says. There's no hurry here, and so I do. I let my gaze soften on the water. The ripples move outward in slow circles. The sound is soft, constant, a gentle rhythm that asks nothing of me. Let your jaw relax now, friend. You may be holding tension there without realizing it. Let your tongue rest gently in your mouth. Let your teeth part just slightly. Feel the release. Good. After a while, I turn back to wisdom, and we continue walking. The path leads us past a small workshop. Through the open doorway, I see an old man seated at a wooden bench. He holds a block of pale wood in one hand and a small carving knife in the other. Shavings curl at his feet like fallen petals. Wisdom pauses here. Would you like to hear his story? She asks. Yes, I say. She smiles and gestures toward the doorway. And somehow, as I watch the old woodcarver work, I begin to see his story unfold, like a memory being handed to me. His name is Tobias. When he was young, Tobias wanted to be a great builder. He dreamed of constructing towers and temples, grand structures that would stand for centuries. He spent years learning, planning, drawing designs by candlelight. But life had other ideas. A fire destroyed his workshop when he was 30. His plans burned with it, his savings, his tools, everything he had built toward, gone in a single night. Tobias fell into despair. He wandered for months, lost in confusion. Why had this happened? He had worked so hard. He had done everything right. How could the path vanish beneath his feet? One evening, exhausted and hungry, he sat beneath an old olive tree at the edge of a village. An elderly woman passed by. She saw him there and stopped. "You look like a man carrying a heavy question," she said. "I am," Tobias replied. "I don't understand why my plans fell apart. I trusted my own hands, my own mind, and still, I lost everything." The woman sat beside him. "Perhaps," she said gently, "you were leaning too hard on your own understanding. Perhaps there is a path you cannot see yet, one that only becomes clear when you stop insisting on the one you already drew." Tobias didn't know what to make of her words, but something in them stuck with him. Over the following years, he stopped trying to rebuild what he had lost. Instead, he let himself be led. A farmer offered him a small room in exchange for help with repairs. Tobias stayed. He fixed fences, mended chairs, carved a simple toy for the farmer's granddaughter. The child loved it so much that she showed it to everyone in the village. Soon, others came to Tobias. Could he carve a spoon, a bowl, a figure of a bird for a windowsill? Tobias said yes. Year after year, his hands grew more skilled. His carvings grew more beautiful, not grand, not famous, but treasured, held in homes throughout the region, passed down from parents to children. Now, in his old age, Tobias understands. The path he had drawn for himself was not the path meant for him. And when he stopped gripping so tightly to his own understanding, a better path appeared. I watch him now through the workshop doorway. His face is calm, content. The knife moves slowly, revealing the shape hidden inside the wood. He does not notice me watching. He is fully present in his work, fully at peace. Wisdom places a hand on my shoulder. Trust, she says softly, is not a single choice. It is 1,000 small surrenders, a loosening of the grip, a willingness to be led. I nod. We move on. The night deepens around us, but the village remains warm. The lanterns continue to glow. Let your hands relax now, friend. If they are curled or tense, let them open gently. Let your fingers rest soft against the sheets. Feel how easy it is to hold nothing at all. Wisdom leads me down a narrower street now. The houses here are modest. Simple stone walls, wooden shutters, flower boxes beneath the windows, filled with night-blooming jasmine that perfumes the air. Tell me, I say, what makes a person wise? Is it knowledge, experience, age? Wisdom considers the question as we walk. Those things help, she says. But the root of wisdom is integrity, living in such a way that your outer life matches your inner truth, saying what you mean, doing what you say, walking the same path whether anyone is watching or not. She pauses beside a low stone wall and sits down. I sit beside her. Integrity is quiet, she continues. It does not announce itself. It does not seek applause, but over time it builds something unshakable, a foundation that holds steady when storms come. I think about that. A life where the inside and outside match, where there is no performance, no mask, just honest, steady presence. It sounds simple, I say. It is simple, wisdom agrees, but simple is not always easy. The world often rewards the clever tongue, the quick scheme, the shortcut, and so many are tempted to trade integrity for speed, or comfort, or approval. A night bird calls somewhere in the distance, a soft fluting sound, lonely but not sad. But those trades always cost more than they seem, wisdom says. A reputation built on cleverness can crumble overnight. A fortune built on dishonesty carries a weight that never lifts. Only integrity holds. We sit in silence for a while. The jasmine scent drifts over us. The stars have fully emerged now, scattered across the sky like salt on dark cloth. Let your eyelids grow heavy, friend. You don't need to close them yet, but let them soften. Let them relax. Feel how easy it would be to let them fall. Wisdom begins to speak again, and another story forms in the air before me. In a city far from here, there were once 2 merchants who sold grain. Their stalls stood side by side in the great marketplace. Every morning, farmers and families came to buy flour, oats, and barley. The first merchant was named Caleb. Caleb kept his scales perfectly balanced. When a customer asked for a pound of grain, they received a pound of grain, sometimes a little more if the scoop was generous. Caleb believed that fairness was its own reward. The second merchant was named Darius. Darius was clever. He had discovered that by adjusting his scales ever so slightly, he could give customers a little less than they paid for. Not enough for them to notice, just enough to increase his profits. Over time, Darius grew wealthier than Caleb. He bought a larger stall, finer clothes, a bigger house on the hill. Caleb remained modest. His stall stayed the same size. His clothes were simple. His home was small but comfortable. Years passed. One day a drought struck the land. Grain became scarce. Prices rose. People grew desperate. And then a strange thing happened. When the people of the city needed grain, they did not go to Darius. They went to Caleb. Why? Because over all those years, word had quietly spread. Caleb's scales were true. Caleb could be trusted. Caleb had never cheated anyone, not even by a single ounce. When times were hard, trust mattered more than wealth. Caleb shared what he had. He measured fairly, even when he could have charged more. and the community gathered around him. They helped him, protected him, made sure he had what he needed in return. Darius, meanwhile, found his customers had vanished. His clever tricks had been discovered. His reputation had crumbled. And when he needed help, no one came. He sat alone in his fine house on the hill, surrounded by things, but empty of connection. Wisdom lets the story fade. Honest scales, she says, honest words, honest actions. These are small things day by day, but they accumulate. They compound. They build a life that others can lean on. I breathe in the night air. I think about the small choices, the ones no one sees, the moments when it would be easy to cut a corner, tell a half-truth, let something slide. And I think about how those moments gathered together become who we are. Integrity is not a single act, wisdom says, as if reading my thoughts. It is a pattern, a rhythm, a way of being that deepens over time. She stands, and I stand with her. The village is quieter now. Most of the lanterns have dimmed. The families have gone to bed. Only a few lights remain, glowing softly in the dark. There is more to see, wisdom says, more paths to walk. But for now, let us rest a moment. We find a small stone bench beneath an old cedar tree. The branches above us are thick and fragrant. The bark of the tree is rough and ancient. It has stood here for generations, offering shade in the heat and shelter in the cold. I lean back against the bench. The stars wheel slowly overhead. Somewhere a stream murmurs. A breeze stirs the leaves. The world breathes in and out. Let yourself sink deeper now, friend. Your body knows how to rest. It remembers. Just give it permission. Feel the weight of your limbs, the heaviness in your chest that isn't sadness, but release. The slowing of your thoughts, like ripples fading on still water. You are safe here. You are held. And there is more wisdom waiting for us. When you are ready, I do not know how long we rest beneath the cedar tree. Time moves differently here. It stretches and softens. Minutes feel like hours, and hours feel like moments. There is no clock to watch, no schedule to keep, only the slow turning of the stars overhead. Eventually, wisdom rises from the bench. Come, she says. There is a garden I want to show you. I stand and follow her. The village streets are nearly empty now. The cobblestones gleam faintly in the starlight. Our footsteps are the only sound, soft and rhythmic against the stone. We pass through an archway covered in climbing roses. Even in the darkness, I can see the pale blossoms. I can smell their sweetness, delicate, unhurried, like a memory of summer. Beyond the archway lies a garden. It is not large, perhaps the size of a small courtyard, but it is beautiful in its simplicity. Stone paths wind between beds of herbs and flowers. A small fountain bubbles at the center, its water catching starlight. Wooden benches are tucked into quiet corners, half hidden by lavender and rosemary. Wisdom walks to the fountain and sits on its stone edge. I join her. This garden, she says, belongs to no one and everyone. The villagers tend it together. They plant, they water, they pull the weeds, and in return the garden gives them beauty, peace, a place to come when the world feels heavy. I look around at the careful arrangement of plants, the trimmed hedges, the swept paths. It takes constant care, I say. Yes, wisdom agrees, and so does the heart. She dips her fingers into the fountain. The water ripples outward. Above all else, she says, guard your heart, for everything you do flows from it. I let those words settle. Guard your heart, not wall it off, not hide it away, but guard it, tend it. Pay attention to what you let in and what you cultivate there. So many people guard their homes, wisdom continues. They lock their doors, they protect their belongings, but they leave their hearts wide open. They let anything wander in: bitterness, envy, fear, resentment. And then they wonder why their lives feel overgrown, tangled, choked. A night moth flutters past us, drawn to the pale flowers. But the heart that is tended, wisdom says, becomes like this garden. It produces good things: kindness, patience, generosity, joy. Not because these things are forced, but because the soil is healthy. The weeds are pulled. There is room for beauty to grow. Let your breathing deepen now, friend. Draw the air slowly into your lungs. Feel your chest rise gently, then release. Let it go completely. No effort, no holding, just the easy rhythm of breath. Good. I sit beside the fountain and listen to the water. How do I guard my heart? I ask. Wisdom considers the question. Pay attention to what you feed it, she says. The words you listen to, the thoughts you dwell on, the company you keep. These are seeds. They will grow into something. Choose carefully what you plant. She pauses. And when you find weeds, do not ignore them. Do not pretend they are not there. Pull them gently. Bring them into the light. Ask for help if you need it. The garden is never ruined beyond repair, but it does require honesty and patience and the willingness to begin again, day after day. The fountain continues its quiet song. I think about my own heart, the things I have let grow there, the seeds I have planted, knowingly or unknowingly. And I feel in this quiet moment a gentle invitation to tend, to guard, to begin again. A breeze moves through the garden, carrying the scent of rosemary. Wisdom speaks again. Let me tell you about a woman named Miriam. And as she speaks, I see the story unfold before me, like a tapestry being woven in the air. Miriam was a weaver. She lived in a small village at the foot of a mountain. Her hands were skilled. Her patterns were intricate. People came from distant towns to buy her cloth, her blankets, her tapestries. But Miriam was known for something more than her weaving. She was known for her voice, not because it was loud, not because it was commanding, but because it was gentle, soft, warm. No matter the situation, Miriam spoke with care. One autumn, a traveler arrived in the village. He was a large man with a red face and a loud voice. He had been cheated in the last town. His horse had gone lame on the road. And when he arrived at the village inn, he found that there were no rooms available. His anger exploded. He shouted at the innkeeper. He kicked a chair. He cursed the village and everyone in it. The people nearby scattered. Children hid behind their mothers. Even the dogs crept away. But Miriam did not scatter. She had been sitting on a bench outside her workshop, spinning thread in the evening light. When she heard the commotion, she set down her spindle and walked toward the inn. The traveler turned on her. "What do you want?" he snarled. "Come to gawk at the angry fool?" Miriam looked at him calmly. "No," she said, her voice soft. "I came to see if you were hungry." The traveler blinked. His mouth opened, then closed. "Hungry?" he repeated. "Yes," Miriam said. "You look like a man who has had a very long journey, a very hard day. Sometimes when the road is difficult, everything feels worse than it is. Would you like some bread, some soup? My home is small, but there is room at my table." The traveler stared at her. No one had spoken kindly to him in days. He had expected arguments, resistance, dismissal. He had not expected bread and soup. Slowly the tension left his shoulders. He began, then stopped. He looked around at the frightened villagers, at the overturned chair, at his own clenched fists. "I'm sorry," he said quietly. It's been a hard road." Miriam nodded. "Come," she said. "Eat, rest. The world will look different in the morning." And she led him to her small home, where a fire burned low and a pot of soup simmered on the hearth. The story fades, and I am back in the garden with wisdom. "A gentle answer," she says, "turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger." Miriam understood this. She did not meet the storm with another storm. She met it with stillness, with warmth, and the storm passed. I think about the times I have responded to anger with more anger, how it always made things worse, how the fire fed the fire until everything was consumed. And I think about the few times I managed to stay soft, to stay calm, how different those moments felt, how the tension dissolved instead of multiplied. It is not weakness, wisdom says, as if answering a question I had not asked. It takes great strength to remain gentle when the world is harsh. But that strength is quiet. It does not boast. It simply holds steady and watches the storm pass. Let your jaw soften again, friend. Let your tongue rest. Let your face relax completely. The muscles around your eyes, your forehead, your cheeks. Let them all grow smooth and heavy. You are doing so well. Just resting, just listening. That is enough. We leave the garden through a different archway. This one is older. The stones are worn smooth by centuries of hands brushing against them. Ivy grows thick along the sides, dark green and glossy in the starlight. Beyond the archway, a path leads upward. The village is built on a gentle hill, I realize now, and we have been walking slowly, almost imperceptibly, toward its summit. "Where are we going?" I ask. "To see the view," wisdom says, but the journey there has its own lessons. The path is not steep. The incline is gradual, easy, but it does require attention. The stones are uneven in places. Roots cross the path here and there. I walk carefully, placing each foot with intention. Pride, wisdom says as we climb, often masquerades as confidence, but they are not the same thing. I glance at her. Confidence, she continues, knows its own strength without needing to prove it. Pride must constantly announce itself, constantly compare, constantly climb over others to feel tall. We pass a low stone wall, and wisdom runs her hand along its top. "Pride goes before destruction," she says. "A haughty spirit before a fall." This is one of the oldest truths, and yet every generation learns it anew. I think about pride, the subtle ways it creeps in, the way it whispers that I am better than, more deserving than, above all that, and I think about how hollow those whispers leave me, how isolated, how fragile. Humility, wisdom says, is not thinking less of yourself. It is thinking of yourself less. It is holding your gifts loosely, celebrating others genuinely, admitting when you are wrong, asking for help when you need it. The path levels out for a stretch, and we walk side by side. The humble person, wisdom continues, is not weak. They are free, free from the exhausting work of maintaining an image, free from the constant comparison, free to learn, to grow, to be surprised by their own mistakes and delighted by others' successes. Let your shoulders drop again, friend. You may have drawn them up without noticing. Let them fall. Let the tension drain away like water finding its way downhill. We walk in comfortable silence for a while. The path winds between ancient olive trees. Their trunks are gnarled and twisted, their branches spread wide, creating a canopy overhead. Moonlight filters through the silvery leaves, dappling the ground with soft patterns. I have seen proud people rise very high, wisdom says eventually. They build towers of reputation, monuments of achievement, and from the outside they look magnificent. She pauses beside one of the old olive trees and places her hand on its trunk. But the higher the tower, the more devastating the fall. And pride always falls, always. It may take years, decades, a lifetime. But pride carries its own destruction inside it, like a seed waiting to sprout. I look at the olive tree. It is not tall. It does not tower over the landscape, but it has endured, century after century, storm after storm. It remains. Humility bends, wisdom says, and because it bends, it does not break. We continue up the path, and wisdom tells another story. Long ago, in a kingdom far from here, there lived a young king named Aurelius. Aurelius was brilliant, talented, handsome. He had inherited a peaceful kingdom from his wise father, and everything he touched seemed to turn to gold. His advisors praised him. His subjects admired him. Foreign rulers sought his favor. And slowly, so slowly that he did not notice, pride took root in his heart. He began to believe that his success was entirely his own doing, that his wisdom was unmatched, that he needed no counsel, no guidance, no help from anyone. He dismissed the advisors who disagreed with him. He surrounded himself with flatterers who told him only what he wanted to hear. He stopped visiting his people, stopped listening to their concerns, stopped remembering that a king serves as much as he rules. In the royal gardens, there worked an old gardener named Samuel. Samuel had tended the garden since Aurelius was a boy. He had known the young king's father and grandfather. He had watched 3 generations of rulers walk these paths. One evening, Aurelius was walking alone in the gardens when he came upon Samuel pruning a rose bush. "Why do you cut it back so harshly?" Aurelius asked. "You will ruin it." Samuel smiled gently. "Forgive me, Your Majesty," he said, "but this is how the rose grows strongest. If I let every branch reach as far as it wants, the bush becomes tangled, weak. It produces few flowers. But when I prune it with care, it grows healthy, strong, full of blooms." Aurelius scoffed. "I think you prune too much," he said. "The rose should be allowed to reach its full potential, unhindered." Samuel bowed his head. "Perhaps you are right, Your Majesty. You know far more than an old gardener like me." But there was something in his eyes, a sadness, a knowing. Aurelius walked away, irritated. Months passed. The kingdom began to suffer. Poor decisions compounded. Alliances frayed. The treasury dwindled. And Aurelius, surrounded by flatterers, heard only that everything was fine, until it wasn't. A neighboring kingdom, sensing weakness, invaded. The people, neglected for so long, did not rally to their king. The army, underfunded and demoralized, crumbled. Aurelius fled the palace in the night. He wandered for months, hungry, humiliated, alone. Everything he had built, or thought he had built, was gone. One cold evening he found himself at the edge of a small village. Exhausted and starving, he collapsed beside a stone wall. A hand touched his shoulder. He looked up and saw Samuel, the old gardener, living now in this quiet village, far from the fallen kingdom. "You," Aurelius whispered. Samuel helped him to his feet. "Come," he said. "You need food, rest, and we can talk later." In Samuel's small cottage, Aurelius ate bread and soup. He sat by the fire and felt warmth for the first time in weeks. And then he wept. "I ruined everything," he said. "I thought I was so wise, so capable. I thought I needed no one, and now I have nothing. Samuel sat across from him, patient and calm. You have yourself, he said, and that is where rebuilding begins. A rose pruned harshly can bloom again. A life stripped bare can grow anew, but only if the roots remain. Aurelius looked at him. What roots? Humility, Samuel said. Honesty, the willingness to learn, to listen, to admit that you do not know everything. These are roots that cannot be taken from you. They can only be neglected. Aurelius stayed with Samuel that winter. He learned to garden, to cook, to mend his own clothes. He learned to listen more than he spoke, to ask questions instead of giving answers, to value the quiet wisdom of those who had no titles, no wealth, no power. Spring came, and slowly, rebuilt on humility instead of pride, Aurelius began a new life, not as a king, but as a man, a whole man, a man with roots that would hold. The story fades. We have reached the top of the hill. Before us, the village spreads out in the valley below, its few remaining lanterns glowing like earth-bound stars. Beyond the village, the land rolls away in gentle hills, silver and blue in the moonlight. The sky above is vast and deep, filled with more stars than I could ever count. Wisdom stands beside me. Humility, she says softly, is not a punishment. It is a gift. It is the ground where all good things grow. I breathe in the night air, cool, clean, carrying the scent of wild thyme and distant rain. Let your whole body relax now, friend. Feel how the bed supports you completely. You do not need to hold yourself up. You can let go. Surrender your weight entirely. Trust that you will be held. Good. We stand in silence, looking out over the sleeping world. The stars wheel slowly overhead. The breeze whispers through the grass. Somewhere far below, a night bird sings a single, liquid note, and I feel in this moment how small I am, how brief my time, how little I truly know. But instead of feeling frightened by this, I feel free. Free from the burden of having all the answers, free from the exhaustion of pretending, free to simply be, to learn, to grow, to rest. Wisdom places a gentle hand on my shoulder. You have walked well tonight, she says. There's more to see, more paths to follow, but the night is patient, and so are we. I nod. The stars continue their ancient dance. The village sleeps peacefully below, and I stand at the summit, breathing in the stillness, feeling held by something far greater than myself. We descend from the hilltops slowly. The path down is gentler than the path up. It winds in long, easy curves through meadow grass that brushes against my ankles. The blades are cool with dew. The earth beneath my feet is soft and forgiving. Wisdom walks beside me, unhurried as always. The village below grows closer with each step. I can see the shapes of rooftops now, the dark rectangles of sleeping windows, the faint glow of a single candle in some distant room, where someone perhaps cannot sleep. Words, Wisdom says, breaking the comfortable silence. Have you ever considered their weight? I glance at her. Their weight? Yes. She pauses beside a cluster of wildflowers, their petals closed for the night. Words seem so small, so ordinary. We speak thousands of them each day without thinking. They leave our mouths and vanish into the air. And yet, she touches one of the closed flowers gently. Words can build a life, or break one. They can heal wounds that have festered for years, or create wounds that never fully close. Death and life, both rest in the power of the tongue. I think about that as we continue walking. The words I have spoken, the ones I wish I could take back, the ones I'm grateful I said, the careless comments that cut deeper than I intended, the simple phrases, I love you. I'm proud of you. I forgive you. That changed everything. Most people guard their actions carefully, wisdom says. They think before they act. They consider consequences. But words slip out, unguarded, unexamined, and then they cannot be unspoken. The path leads us to a wooden footbridge over a narrow stream. The water below is dark and quiet, reflecting the stars like a second sky. We stop at the center of the bridge. A word spoken in haste, wisdom says, is like a stone thrown into still water. You cannot stop the ripples. You can only watch them spread, touching shores you never intended to reach. Let your breath slow now, friend. In through your nose, gentle and easy. Out through your mouth, soft as a whisper. Feel how the rhythm calms you, how each exhale carries a little more tension away. I lean against the bridge railing and watch the water. But words can also heal, I say. Yes, wisdom's voice is warm. A kind word at the right moment can save a life, literally. There are people walking this earth today only because someone spoke hope into their despair. Someone said, I see you. You matter. Please stay. The stream murmurs beneath us. Choose your words carefully, wisdom continues. Not from fear, but from love. Ask yourself before you speak, is this true? Is this kind? Is this necessary? And if you cannot say yes to at least two of those, perhaps the words are better left unspoken. I nod slowly. And when you have been wounded by words, she adds, remember that the wound says more about the speaker than about you. Hurt people, and healed people, heal people. We stand on the bridge a little longer, listening to the water, watching the stars reflected below. Then gently, wisdom gestures forward and we continue on. The path leads us past a small chapel at the edge of the village. It is old, very old. The stones are weathered and mossy. The wooden door is dark with age. But there is something beautiful about it, something enduring. Wisdom pauses here. This chapel, she says, was built by a man named Ephraim. Would you like to hear his story? Yes, I say. And the story begins to unfold. Ephraim was a stonemason. He had learned the trade from his father, who had learned it from his father before him. Ephraim's hands were rough and strong. His eye for measurement was precise. He could look at a pile of raw stones and see the building hidden within them. But Ephraim had a problem. His tongue was as rough as his hands. He spoke without thinking. He criticized freely. When an apprentice made a mistake, Ephraim did not correct gently. He berated. When a customer questioned his work, Ephraim did not explain patiently. He snapped. This is just how I am, he told himself. I speak the truth. If people can't handle it, that's their weakness. Years passed. Ephraim's work was excellent, but his reputation suffered. Apprentices left after only a few months. Customers went elsewhere, even if it meant traveling farther. Friends grew distant. His wife grew quiet. One day, Ephraim was working on a wall when a young boy approached. The boy was perhaps 8 years old, thin, shy. He watched Ephraim work with wide, curious eyes. What do you want? Ephraim grunted. The boy flinched but did not leave. I want to learn, he said quietly. I want to build things, like you. Something in the boy's voice caught Ephraim off guard. A sincerity, a vulnerability. Against his usual instincts, Ephraim did not send him away. What's your name, huh? He asked. Nathan. Do you have a father, Nathan? The boy shook his head. He died last winter. Ephraim looked at the child, saw the hunger in his eyes, not for food, but for guidance, for someone to teach him, to see him. "Come back tomorrow," Ephraim said gruffly. "I'll show you how to hold a chisel." Nathan came back the next day, and the day after that, and the day after that. Ephraim found himself teaching more gently than he ever had before. When Nathan made mistakes, and he made many, Ephraim heard his harsh words rising in his throat. But then he would see the boy's eager face, his trembling hands, his desperate desire to learn. And Ephraim would swallow the harsh words. Instead, he said things like, "Not quite, try again, you'll get it." And Nathan would try again, and eventually he would get it. Months passed. Nathan grew more skilled, and Ephraim noticed something strange happening. The gentler he spoke to Nathan, the gentler he began speaking to everyone. His wife noticed first. She smiled more, talked more. The silence between them began to fill with warmth again. His customers noticed next. They returned. They recommended him to others. His business grew. Even his old apprentices, hearing of the change, came back to visit. Some asked to work with him again. Ephraim began to understand. His words had been stones, too. Heavy, hard, thrown carelessly. They had built walls between himself and everyone he cared about. But words could also be building blocks. Chosen carefully, placed with intention, they could construct something beautiful, something that lasted. When the village needed a new chapel, Ephraim volunteered to build it. "For free?" the village elder asked, surprised. "Yes," Ephraim said. "Let it be my gift, my apology, my new beginning." He built the chapel with Nathan at his side, stone by stone, word by word. And when it was finished, Ephraim carved a small inscription above the door. "What we build with our hands will crumble. What we build with our words lives forever. The story fades. I look at the chapel before me, the same chapel, still standing after all these years. I cannot read the inscription in the darkness, but I know it is there. Words are tools," wisdom says softly. "You choose what to build with them. Every day, every conversation, every thought spoken aloud. Let your hands relax completely, friend. If you are holding any tension in your fingers, your palms, your wrists, let it dissolve now. Let your hands become soft and heavy. Let them rest like sleeping birds against the sheets. Good." We leave the chapel behind and continue into the village. The village is fully asleep now. No more lanterns glow in windows. No more voices murmur behind closed doors. The world has surrendered to rest, and only we remain awake, walking these quiet streets like gentle ghosts. Our footsteps are soft, unhurried. The rhythm of them is almost musical. "Tell me about friendship," I say to wisdom. "What makes a friendship true?" She considers the question as we walk. "A true friend," she says, "loves at all times, not only when it is easy, not only when it is convenient, but always, in celebration and in mourning, in success and in failure, in the bright seasons and the dark ones." We pass a small house with a red door, flower boxes beneath the windows, a rocking chair on the porch, empty now but worn smooth by years of use. "Many people have companions," wisdom continues, "people they laugh with, people they spend time with. But companions are not always friends. Companions may leave when the laughter stops. Friends remain when the weeping begins." I think about the people in my life, the ones who showed up when things fell apart, who sat with me in silence when there were no words, who held space for my grief, my confusion, my fear, without trying to fix or minimize or rush. Those are friends. Friendship requires honesty, wisdom says. A friend speaks truth, even when it is uncomfortable. not to wound, but to help. Wounds from a friend can be trusted. They come from love, not malice. We turn down a narrow lane. The houses here are older. Their walls lean slightly, like elderly companions supporting each other. But friendship also requires gentleness, wisdom adds, knowing when to speak and when to stay silent, knowing when to push and when to simply stand beside. It is a delicate balance, an art learned over years. The lane opens into a small square. At its center stands a well, its stone rim worn smooth by generations of hands drawing water. We stop beside it. True friendship, wisdom says, is one of the greatest treasures life offers. It cannot be bought, cannot be rushed, cannot be forced. It can only be cultivated, slowly, patiently, with mutual care and attention. Let your eyelids grow heavy now, friend. You do not need to keep them open. Let them fall halfway. Let the world grow soft and blurred at the edges. You are safe here. You can let go. I look into the well. The water far below is invisible in the darkness, but I can feel its presence. Cool, deep, waiting. Guard your friendships, wisdom says. Nurture them. Do not take them for granted. In the end, when everything else fades, wealth, status, achievement, it is the faces of true friends you will remember. It is their love that will have mattered most. Wisdom sits on the edge of the well, and I sit beside her. There is a story about this very well, she says. Would you like to hear it? Please, I say, and the story begins. Many years ago, 2 young men grew up in this village. Their names were Daniel and Marcus. They had been friends since childhood. They learned to walk in the same year. They played in the same streets. They shared meals at each other's tables so often that both sets of parents considered them sons. As they grew older, their friendship only deepened. When Daniel's mother died, Marcus sat beside him through the night, saying nothing, just being there. When Marcus failed his apprenticeship and felt like a failure, Daniel reminded him of all his strengths, all his gifts, all the reasons he mattered. They were not just friends, they were brothers, not by blood, but by choice. Then came the drought. It lasted 3 years. The crops failed. The wells ran dry one by one. People began to leave the village searching for water elsewhere. Daniel and Marcus stayed. We will find water, Daniel said. We will dig a new well together. And so they began. Every day from sunrise to sunset, they dug. The earth was hard. The work was brutal. Their hands blistered and bled. Their backs ached constantly. Others in the village thought they were foolish. There is no water here, people said. You are wasting your time. Leave while you still can. But Daniel and Marcus kept digging. Weeks passed. Months. The hole grew deeper. Still no water. One evening, exhausted and discouraged, Marcus sat at the bottom of the dry well and wept. We should give up, he said. Everyone is right. There is nothing here. Daniel climbed down beside him. He did not argue. He did not offer false hope. He simply sat in the dirt next to his friend and said, if there is no water, we will leave together. But we will not leave until we have tried everything. And we have not tried everything yet. There is more depth beneath us. I feel it. Marcus looked at him. How can you be so sure? I'm not sure, Daniel admitted, but I am sure of this. I would rather dig until my hands fall off, with you beside me, than walk away wondering what might have been. Marcus wiped his eyes. 1 more week, he said. 1 more week, Daniel agreed. They shook hands in the darkness at the bottom of that dry well, and they kept digging. 3 days later, Daniel's shovel broke through into a pocket of wet sand. Water began to seep up from below, slowly at first, then faster, cool, clean. More water than they had dared to hope for. They climbed out of the well, shouting, laughing, crying. The village was saved. People returned. Crops were planted again. Life resumed. And at the center of it all stood this well, the well that two friends had dug together when everyone else had given up. The story fades. I look at the well beside me. The same well, still providing water after all these years. A friend loves at all times, wisdom says, and a brother is born for adversity. Daniel and Marcus understood this. Their friendship was not tested by the good times. It was proven by the hard ones. I trace my fingers along the worn stone rim. Generations of hands have touched this same stone, drawn water from this same well, been sustained by what two friends refuse to give up on. Find friends who will dig with you, wisdom says, and be a friend who will dig for others. When the drought comes, and it will come, that is what will matter. Not wealth, not status, not clever words, just someone willing to stay in the hole beside you until the water finally rises. Let your whole body sink deeper now, friend. Feel how heavy your limbs have become, how peaceful your breath, how quiet your mind. There is nothing to do, nowhere to be, only this moment, this rest, this gentle darkness holding you. We sit beside the well in comfortable silence. The stars continue their slow rotation overhead. The village sleeps deeply. The water waits patiently below. After a while, wisdom stands. Come, she says. There's more to see, but the night is long, and we are in no hurry. I rise and follow her. We leave the square behind and walk down another quiet street. The houses grow smaller here, simpler. Gardens overflow with vegetables and herbs. The air smells of rich earth and growing things. I feel the peace of this place settling deeper into me, into my bones, into my breath. I am tired now, a good kind of tired, the kind that comes from walking far and listening well. But I know there is more ahead, more wisdom to encounter, more stories to hear, more paths to walk, and I am glad for it. Let your mind grow quiet now, friend. If thoughts arise, let them pass like clouds across a night sky. You do not need to chase them. You do not need to hold them. Just let them drift. Let them dissolve. Let them go. You are held. You are safe. You are resting in ancient wisdom that has cradled countless souls before you, and there is no rush, no hurry, only this gentle walk through the night, with more peace waiting just ahead. The street grows quieter still. We have walked to the far edge of the village now, where the houses are few and the fields begin. The land opens up before us, rolling gently toward the horizon. Silver blue in the moonlight, soft and endless. A low stone fence marks the boundary between village and countryside. Wisdom rests her hand on it, and I stand beside her, looking out at the vast expanse. There is a sickness, Wisdom says gently, that afflicts many hearts. It is not a sickness of the body. It is a sickness of wanting. I listen. Always reaching for the next thing, she continues, the next achievement, the next possession, the next moment, never resting in what is, never savoring what has already been given. The breeze moves through the tall grass beyond the fence. It ripples like water, like breath, like the slow pulse of the living earth. Contentment, Wisdom says, is not the absence of desire. It is the presence of gratitude. It is looking at your life, not the life you imagined, not the life someone else has, but your actual life, and finding it enough. I think about that word, enough, how rarely I feel it, how often I am reaching, straining, comparing, how exhausting it is to always be wanting more. A peaceful heart leads to a healthy body, wisdom says, but envy rots the bones. This is not poetry, it is truth. The heart that is never satisfied poisons itself from within. She turns to face me. What do you have right now that you once wished for? The question catches me off guard. I think, and slowly, things come to mind. Simple things. Things I had forgotten to be grateful for. Things I had stopped noticing because they had become familiar. That is the practice, wisdom says, as if she can see my thoughts. Remembering what you have, naming it, holding it gently, letting it be enough, even for this moment. Let your body settle deeper into rest now, friend. Feel the weight of your head against the pillow. Feel how the mattress cradles every part of you. You are supported. You are held. There is nothing you need to reach for right now. Good. We stand at the fence a little longer. The moon has traveled across the sky. It hangs lower now, closer to the horizon. The night is deep and full. Contentment does not mean you stop growing, wisdom says. It does not mean you abandon all hopes and dreams. It simply means you stop making your peace conditional. You stop saying, I will be happy when, and start saying, I can be at peace now, even as I continue to grow. She gestures toward the open fields. The grass does not strain to grow. It simply grows. The stars do not struggle to shine. They simply shine. And you, dear one, can simply be right here, right now, whole and enough, exactly as you are. We walk along the stone fence, and wisdom begins another story. There was once a farmer named Josiah. He lived in a small valley surrounded by hills. His farm was modest, a few acres of land, a handful of sheep, a vegetable garden, an orchard of apple trees that his grandfather had planted. Josiah was not wealthy, but he had enough food to eat, enough wool to keep warm, enough beauty to fill his eyes every morning when he walked his land. And Josiah was content. But as the years passed, his neighbors began to expand. The farmer to the east bought more land, built a bigger barn, acquired a larger flock. The farmer to the west dug a new well, planted exotic crops, hired workers to tend his growing fields. And slowly a whisper began in Josiah's mind. You are falling behind, the whisper said. Everyone is growing except you. You should want more. You should be more. What you have is not enough. Josiah tried to ignore the whisper, but it grew louder. He began to look at his modest farm with dissatisfied eyes. The barn seemed too small, the flock too meager, the orchard too ordinary. He stopped noticing the beauty of morning light on the hills. He stopped tasting the sweetness of apples picked fresh from the tree. He stopped feeling the simple joy of a day's honest work. Instead, he felt only lack, only wanting, only the ache of not having more. His sleep grew troubled, his appetite faded. His body, once strong and healthy, began to weaken. His wife noticed. What is wrong? She asked one evening, as they sat by the fire. I don't know, Josiah said. I feel empty, like something is missing, like I am not enough. His wife was quiet for a moment. Then she stood and walked to the window. Come here, she said. Josiah joined her. Through the window, they could see their land bathed in moonlight, the hills rising gently on every side, the sheep sleeping peacefully in their pen, the apple trees standing in patient rows. What do you see? She asked. Our farm, Josiah said. What else? He looked more carefully. The moon, the stars, the hills. What else? He was quiet for a long moment. Home, he finally said. "I see home." His wife took his hand. "When we were young," she said, "we dreamed of a place just like this. A quiet valley, a small farm, a life of simplicity and peace. Do you remember?" Josiah nodded slowly. He did remember. How clearly he had pictured this exact life. How fervently he had hoped for it. "You are living the dream you once had," his wife said gently. "But somewhere along the way, you stopped seeing it. You started looking at what others have instead of what you hold." Josiah felt tears rising. "I forgot," he whispered. "I forgot to be grateful." His wife squeezed his hand. "Then remember now, it is not too late. It is never too late." That night, Josiah slept peacefully for the first time in months, and in the morning he walked his land with new eyes. He touched the rough bark of the apple trees. He breathed in the scent of earth and grass. He watched the sheep grazing and felt his heart swell with quiet joy. Nothing had changed, and everything had changed. The farm was the same, but Josiah was different. He had remembered how to be content. In the years that followed, his health returned. His sleep grew deep and restful. His body grew strong again. And when visitors came to his valley, they often remarked on how peaceful Josiah seemed, how at ease, how whole. "What is your secret?" they would ask. And Josiah would smile and say, "I stopped counting what I lack and started counting what I have. There is always more to want, but there is also always enough to be grateful for. I chose gratitude, and gratitude chose me back." The story fades. The fields stretch before us, silver and quiet. The moon hangs low and heavy. Contentment, wisdom says, is not something you find. It is something you practice every day, every moment. A choice made again and again to be at peace with what is. Let your jaw relax now, friend. Let your tongue rest soft in your mouth. Let your lips part slightly. Feel how the muscles of your face soften when you stop holding them tight. There is nothing to clench, nothing to brace against, only rest. I breathe in the cool night air. I think about my own life, the things I have chased, the things I have overlooked, the dreams I once held that have already come true, unnoticed and uncelebrated. And I feel, in this moment, a gentle invitation to remember, to notice, to let what I have be enough, at least for now. We turn back toward the village. The walk is slow and easy. The path is familiar now. We pass the well where Daniel and Marcus dug together. We pass the chapel that Ephraim built. We pass the garden where hearts are tended like flowers. Everything is quiet. Everything is at rest. We have walked many paths tonight, wisdom says. We have spoken of trust and integrity, of guarding the heart and choosing gentle words, of humility and friendship and contentment. I nod. But all of these, she continues, flow from a single source, a single beginning. We return to the crossroads at the center of the village, the same place where I first saw her, standing in the evening light. Reverence, she says, that is where wisdom begins. A quiet awe for something greater than yourself. When you hold that awe gently in your heart, everything else finds its place. The crossroads are silent. The lanterns have all gone dark. Only the stars and moon provide light now, soft and silver and ancient. You cannot manufacture reverence, wisdom says. You can only open yourself to it. You can only stand still long enough to notice the enormity of existence, the miracle of breath, the mystery of being alive at all. I stand at the crossroads and let those words settle. The enormity of existence, the miracle of breath, the mystery of being alive. When did I last pause to feel these things? When did I last stand in wonder asking nothing, demanding nothing, simply marveling that anything exists at all. This is the foundation, wisdom says. Build your life here, and it will stand. Build it elsewhere, and it will eventually crumble, not because you are punished, but because you are building on sand instead of stone. Let your eyelids grow heavy now, friend. If they want to close, let them. There is nothing more you need to see, only darkness, only rest, only the gentle weight of sleep beginning to settle over you. Good. Wisdom leads me to a wooden bench at the edge of the crossroads. We sit down together. The bench is old and smooth, worn by countless others who have rested here. I can feel the history in it, the weight of all those who came before. Rest now, wisdom says. You have walked well. You have listened well. Let the wisdom settle into you like water into soil. You do not need to hold it all. You do not need to remember every word. Just let it soak in. Let it become part of you, slowly, gently, in its own time. I lean back against the bench. My body is heavy. My eyes are tired. My mind is quiet. The village sleeps around us. The stars wheel overhead. The night holds everything in its vast, gentle arms. I do not know how long we sit in silence. Time has lost all meaning here. There is only this moment, this breath, this peace. Eventually wisdom speaks again. Her voice is softer now, almost a whisper. The night is nearly over, she says. Soon the first light will touch the hills. The village will begin to wake, and you will return to your own world, your own life, your own path. I feel a pang of something. Not sadness exactly. More like the bittersweet feeling of leaving a place you have come to love. But remember, wisdom continues. I am not far. I call out at the crossroads of every life. I raise my voice in every quiet moment, every pause, every breath. You do not have to journey to a distant village to find me. You only have to listen. She places her hand on mine. Her touch is warm, comforting, like a grandmother's hand, like a blessing spoken without words. Take what you have heard tonight and hold it loosely. Do not grip it with anxiety. Do not turn it into another burden to carry. Simply let it be a gift, a seed planted in good soil. It will grow in its own time, in its own way. Let your whole body release now, friend. Every muscle, every tension, every holding. Feel how your body melts into the bed, how your breath becomes slow and deep and automatic, how your thoughts grow softer and farther apart. You are drifting now, and that is exactly right. Wisdom stands slowly. Sleep well, dear traveler, she says. May your rest be deep. May your dreams be gentle. And may you wake with peace in your heart and wisdom in your steps. She begins to walk away, her footsteps soft on the cobblestones. But before she disappears into the night, she turns back one last time. Remember, she says, her voice like a distant melody. The beginning of wisdom is reverence. The path of wisdom is love, and the end of wisdom is peace. Then she is gone. I am alone at the crossroads, but I do not feel alone. I feel held, surrounded, carried by something I cannot name but have always known. The stars continue their slow dance. The moon sinks toward the hills. The first hint of light, so faint it might be imagined, touches the eastern sky. But I do not need to see the dawn. I am already resting. My breath rises and falls like gentle waves. My body is heavy and warm. My mind is quiet, so quiet, like a still pond reflecting the infinite sky. There is nothing left to do, nothing left to think, nothing left to worry about or figure out or solve. Only rest, only pause. Only this deep, endless night holding you like a mother holds a sleeping child. Let yourself sink all the way down now, friend. Down through the layers of wakefulness, down through the last traces of thought, down into the deep, soft darkness where sleep is waiting. You have walked well tonight. You have listened well. Now let go. Let go of everything and rest. The wisdom will still be there in the morning. The village will still be waiting if you ever want to return. The crossroads will still echo with that gentle voice, calling out to anyone who pauses long enough to hear. But for now, there is only sleep, deep, peaceful, restorative sleep. Let it come. Let it carry you. Let it hold you through the night. You are safe. You are loved. You are at peace. Good night, dear traveler. Good night.